social, political, and economic issues are so great on the negative side that that will overcome any individual enthusiasm to somehow create a thought that things are better than they really are. And more of that will come paramount on the political side of things. And that's why I say if we're fortunate enough to continue having a rally, if one finds themselves overweighted in general equities, this would be a good reason to lighten that load as far as I'm concerned.
In a world grappling with social, political, and economic challenges, it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain optimism in the face of grim realities. The weight of these issues looms large, particularly in the realm of politics, where their influence becomes paramount. For those invested in general equities, an impending rally may serve as a timely reminder to reassess their positions. It is crucial to navigate these uncertain times with caution, as the outlook on the economy and stocks reveals concerning indicators. Let us delve deeper into these matters, as Peter Greenwich sheds light on the outlook and potential implications.
A few weeks ago, I spoke about looking and hoping for a 10 to 20% rally in the market, not for me to prosper in, but for people that were overly leveraged, just realized that 6 or 12 months ago, that there was going to be this window thanks to the expectation that the Fed was at least going to pause, if not stop raising rates. And therefore, what I like to coin the don't worry, be happy crowd on Wall Street would use that as it's all green light to go back to the way things were and happy days were here again. However, I stressed and continue to do that such a rally would be something to lighten up into, not to get reinvested in. So for all practical purposes, for a slight period of time, I became Switzerland. I wasn't neither a bear or a bull, but I do think after a period that could last several weeks, I think serious issues are going to start to reemerge. The slowing of an economy, the political environment, both here and abroad. It's a potential geopolitical hotspots. Still, of course, Ukraine, but I think the far more important one now is Taiwan. These and other political issues in the U.S., scandals potentially on both sides of the aisle, I think are going to become more paramount and more influential on what markets do and don't do.
So yeah, just on the issue of Taiwan, we'll get back to the American economy. So I was reading an article from Forbes out this morning. Secretary of State Antony Blinken reiterated the U.S. position on its one China policy as he met with China's leader Xi Jinping Monday, saying it does not support Taiwanese independence and that containing China's economy was not an American goal. He was speaking to the press at the U.S. Embassy in Beijing.
So it does fly in the face of what the president had just said recently. It seems to be backtracking, but that's not unusual. We seem to backtrack from a lot of things he first says. But there is still a very strong aisle, even within the Democratic Party, not just from the Republican side, who would probably say this is an appeasement, but it's going in the wrong direction. That this type of attitude of backing down and not standing up to China in different ways has only caused the issues that we now face, and this will only make it worse. I think that'll be the one side of the argument. There's no question also, I think it's important while you're talking about China and not Taiwan for a moment, is China's economy itself is on the fence. And there's two camps, both of which I think can end up being right. That's why I'm on the fence with them. There clearly is a change in the economy. The ability to grow in the way that it used to is gone. But some still feel that there's going to be a fairly decent rebound, and others think that they have some serious issues afoot that are only getting started now. So what I would say is, if you could tell me how China's economy goes over the next 6 to 12 months, I think it'll have a major impact on how the world economy as a group goes.
Well, actually, since you brought it up, the Chinese economy contracted last quarter, slower than expected. And in fact, there's talks of the Chinese central bank potentially stimulating the economy again.
Yeah, so they have room in that because their inflation rate is low, but they have some serious issues in the real estate market as well. And I don't think anywhere as bad as ours, quite frankly. But so China has also at the same time made leaps and bounds as a world potential leader in what it's been able to do in the last year. It's gone into the Middle East, where the United States was always the dominant and almost sole world leader. and has brought sides together like Saudis and Iran, who were mortal enemies. They have clearly gotten Saudi Arabia to move more away from the United States than move closer to it. And they've also are leading the role in the BRIC nations growing and the de-dollarization of the dollar. And so they have more playable cards, in my view, than the United States has right now. And I think anybody that makes serious long-term decisions and doesn't take into account geopolitics and China in particular will be making a mistake.
On the flip side, we had Henry Kissinger speaking to Bloomberg over the weekend. In an interview with a Bloomberg editor, he said that on the current trajectory of relations, I think some military conflict is probable. And he said that I also think that the current trajectory of relations must be altered. What needs to be altered, Peter?
Well, again, that goes back to how you look at it. There's people here that believe that China has taken just full advantage of us in so many different ways and put us in a fairly dire position, and that has to stop. That's one camp. There's another softer camp thinks that somehow we have to recognize we are not who we once were, and they are maybe the next big kid on the block, and that we need to make more peaceful movements towards the inevitable change in that. And somewheres in the middle is where it's likely going to end up. But that's still an argument that needs to play out. And this current mood today could change tomorrow. And so I would just say for now, the viewpoint will be is that once again, Biden has backtracked from some things he's personally stated about how he viewed things. And well, also the hard camp against China will say that this is maybe not appeasement, but it's certainly not conducive to what we need done for ourselves against what China does to us.
Bring it back closer to home. What do you think are some of the biggest political issues that America needs to overcome right now in order for investors to not be worried about political issues at all?
Well, I don't think they worry to the point what they should be. I mean, never, I don't believe, other than perhaps our Civil War, has America been more divided in several issues. The Republicans and Democrats, you might as well watch the wrestling. It seems like the same thing watching them, but it's in real life. It's not put on, at least put on in some instances. And the ability to get concrete efforts done to take care of enormous issues, from our debt crisis to the coming retirement crisis, to the infrastructure issues we have, and so many other factors, while we just continue to pile on printing money we don't have or ability to pay back, and really have broken the back. And David, I deal with a lot of small business owners around the United States, and they've to a T all say that it's never been harder to run a business for a lot of reasons, a lot of it coming from out of Washington. And that it's coming to the point where they just want to jump in the wagon and have somebody pull them, as they feel that they're now pulling so many other people who shouldn't be in the wagon. So the political stuff, and we haven't even discussed the potential. We already know that a past president who's trying to run has been indicted, and some believe that is targeting just political to get rid of an opponent. And then we have the other side where claims are being made by, and who knows if that gets legs and turns into, some really solid stuff that people can't deny and all sides would have to agree to. So I do think that one thing is certain: politics will play more of a role on the various markets you're going to be talking about in the coming weeks and months